If you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering, how does Peach help us understand the Mario timeline? Well, let's think about some of the first things that come to mind when I mention Princess Peach. She's the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom. She regularly gets kidnapped by Bowser, and she has an absolutely massive... Now I feel like you understand where this is going, so let's get right into it. We'll start, of course, where all things do, with Mario Kart Wii. As we can see from our footage here, Peach is quite slender in this game. It makes sense she would be thin, as according to the first result of Google, she is 6'1". I believe that Mario Kart Wii is the first game in the entire Mario timeline, and that it takes place before Bowser ever kidnapped Peach. This explains why Bowser and his minions can be seen go-karting with Mario and his friends, as at this time there was no animosity between them. Our next game in the Mario timeline is Super Mario Odyssey. This was Bowser's first attempt to marry Peach, which is why he can be seen pulling out all the stops and putting on a big ceremony in this game. I also have a theory that Bowser spread his army thin in this game, as he took over several kingdoms rather than just the Mushroom Kingdom. This could explain why Mario Odyssey is one of the easiest 3D Marios, and why Bowser stuck to one kingdom at a time in future titles. Peach's swimsuit in this game gives us a good idea of what she looks like. And as you can see, she's gotten a tad bigger since Mario Kart Wii. Up next is Super Mario Bros. 2. Now you might not agree with this, but with the way Peach's dress gets noticeably wider as it goes down her legs, it looks to me like her dress is fluffy, with her body underneath still being quite thin. After that is Mario Kart 64. This one is a little iffy based on the sprite sheet, as she is sitting down, which may be flattening her behind a bit under her weight. You might be wondering how we have another Mario Kart game at this point in the timeline, since Bowser has recently kidnapped Peach for the first time. But this can easily be explained because the Koopa Kingdom had recently joined the European Union, marking a time of peace for the Mushroom Kingdom. The very next game is another Mario Kart. I guess Mario and the gang were really into go-karting for a while. As you can see, Peach has grown a noticeable amount since her first time racing. Good thing that racing suit looks nice and stretchy. Up next are all three Mario Strikers games. I had trouble ordering them, as Peach's ass is a pretty similar size in all of them. However, I came up with this order. First is the first Mario Strikers, as it looks the smallest here, followed by Battle League, and with Charged at the end. The reason I put Charged last is because of a theory I have. I assume all three of these soccer games took place fairly close to each other, yet you can see Peach's behind get noticeably bigger. My theory is that in Strikers Charged, Peach's shorts are so tight that they are actually compressing her as a little bit. The reason they are so tight is because Peach had the outfit prepared for her before the actual game, but by the time she was ready to wear it, her butt had already outgrown it. You'd probably like to know what evidence I have for this theory. After that, Mario and friends tired of football and returned to kart racing once more in Mario Kart Super Circuit. Though this time, Peach had a much more comfortable ride, as she had a bit more padding to work with. However, this kart racer would be the end of peace in the Mushroom Kingdom for a while, as after only 2 years, 7 months, and 11 days after joining, Bowser left the European Union again. Bowser had had a falling out with the newly elected president of the European Council, Herman Van Rompuy, as he was openly opposed to allowing Turkey to join the EU. Bowser's brother had been a Turkish citizen for over 17 years at that point, so Bowser felt strongly about the matter. The two had a huge blowout in front of the council, and Bowser ended up storming out of the building and filing to exit the EU just a few months later. After that, he returned to his princess-stealing ways in Super Mario Bros. 3. As you can see here, Peach's dress sticks out much more in Mario 3 than it did in Mario 2, just more evidence of Peach's sudden growth spurt. In fact, Peach's increasing assets may have been exactly what made Bowser want to kidnap her again. Bowser was busy working, as we now have Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, and New Super Mario Bros. It seemed like Princess Peach's but just kept on growing, and Mario 64 included a hint as to why. Mario 64 was the first game in which Peach mentions making a cake for Mario. However, cake seemed to be becoming an obsession for Peach. We'll get back to that in a moment, but for now, it was Peach's turn to save Mario in Super Princess Peach. After that is an odd one, Super Smash Bros. Melee. As you'll see later in the video, I do have an explanation as to how the Super Smash Bros. Series fits into the timeline. But the evidence Peach is presenting makes it clear that Melee takes place long before the rest of the Smash games. Perhaps Smash 64 takes place at a similar time to Melee, however, there is no way to know since Peach is not in that game. After this first group of Smash games, we have Super Mario 3D World. I did not include 3D Land in this timeline, because I don't care about it. Now we have New Super Mario Bros. Wii. The very first thing we see in this game is Princess Peach's birthday cake. And we are able to understand just how far Peach's obsession with cake has come. This cake is large enough to fit Bowser Jr. and all 7 Koopalings inside. I'm honestly not even sure how they got it into the building. You might say that the giant birthday cake is just a royal novelty, and that Peach isn't actually eating much of it. However, our next game is New Super Mario Bros. U. And we can very clearly see how much Peach has grown. Peach is sitting down here, giving us a good idea of how much is dress and how much is ass. The difference here is very noticeable, and it's clear Peach has been eating quite a lot of cake, and it's been adding to her cake. At this point, Princess Peach's gluttony was getting difficult to hide. Luckily for her, it seems she has excellent genetics, meaning all of her weight was building up in a rather aesthetically pleasing way. The argument could be made that Peach's Peach was growing due to exercise, like going to the gym. We can even see her being active in the Mario sports games. However, I would argue that Peach simply isn't the type of person to work out. Daisy might be a better candidate, as she's supposedly meant to be a tomboy. And I could even see Rosalina being one of those women in their 50s who go to the gym non-stop and are more fit than anyone you've ever seen your whole life, and you need to try not to stare. Anyways, not only do we never see Peach doing anything active in her free time outside of sports games, but we also see lazy characters like Wario participating in the sports games as well. On top of that, Peach was not participating in any sports during this part of the timeline, as the Mushroom Kingdom was often at war with Bowser. Our next game is a very odd addition, but I chose to include Mario Party Island Tour. Peach's butt looks quite immense in this game, so I thought it was worth mentioning. From the gameplay footage, it looks somewhat like Peach could just be wearing a rather fluffy dress. But taking a look at the box art reveals that it's almost all her ass. Our next game is where the timeline starts to get interesting, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. In this game, the Mario universe is accidentally combined with the Rabbids universe, creating great chaos. No matter what happens in the Mushroom Kingdom, though, one constant still remains. Peach continues to eat, and her ass continues to expand. The events of Kingdom Battle must have been stressful for everyone involved, as the gang decided to unwind with their latest round of go-karting in Mario Kart Double Dash. After that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I believe that when the Mario universe was combined with the Rabbids universe, other video game universes were added into the mix as well. My explanation for why Super Smash Bros. 64 and Melee took place so much earlier in the timeline is because they both exist within the confines of the Nintendo universe, whereas the later Smash games include third-party characters. There's no other way to explain it, as Peach's butt was only half the size in Melee as it is in this part of the timeline. After Brawl is Super Mario Sunshine. When doing research for this video, I was actually blown away by just how thick Sunshine Peach is. Mario is shown lusting over food in the beginning, but I think Peach must have felt the same way. At the end of Super Mario Sunshine, Mario fights Bowser in space. Bowser must have really liked it up there, as our next 2 games are Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Peach's ass is absolutely enormous in this game, and as you can see from the way her dress flaps in the wind, there's a solid mass underneath it, meaning there's no extra padding in her dress making it look bigger. After getting kidnapped by Bowser and brought into space on 3 different occasions, Peach was probably hoping for a rest. However, she was unable to take one, as up next is the final Smash Bros. Game in our timeline, Super Smash Bros. 4. By now, Peach's ass has been steadily growing for years, wasting many taxpayer dollars on having new dresses tailored to fit her ever-expanding figure. let alone the food costs needed to feed Peach's now insatiable hunger. The final game in our timeline is none other than Super Mario Bros. 1 on the NES. It may seem odd that the first ever Super Mario game is also the last in the timeline, but it actually makes sense as I believe this game takes place during an apocalypse. The plot of Super Mario Bros., and yes, it does have a plot, is that Bowser has turned the entire kingdom into blocks. You can see throughout the game that everything has been turned into these cracked stone bricks, which very few plants can grow in. This causes a food shortage for the once prosperous land. Though, unsurprisingly, Peach's rear has ballooned even larger than ever. It seems she has opted to eat even more during this time of famine. What a shameful and corrupt monarch she has become. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more documentaries like this, be sure to leave your suggestions down in the comments. And until then, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, kiss the bell, join my Discord, become a patron, follow me on Twitter.